All right, so this is the second half of the same day's video, just Wednesday's video. I just want to quickly review what we've talked about so far today, that when you have a parallelogram, the opposite sides will be congruent. Opposite sides are also parallel. We also said that the opposite angles will be congruent. So this angle will be congruent there, and this angle will be congruent there. And the last thing we said was the diagonals should bisect each other. So based on those things, we're going to do a couple last questions on this, and then I will give you a homework assignment that you can do based on this lesson. So just two quick examples here. Here's the first one. You can work along with me. So I'm gonna draw it a little backwards on the parallelogram. Is that okay to do? Absolutely. Okay, it could look this way, obviously. This is parallelogram A, B, C, D. I know that it's a parallelogram because it's marked that way, or it can say in the directions that you have a parallelogram. All right. Now, these are the informational things they give us. This top side here, side BC, is 5x plus 19. Side AD is 7x. And then angle D here, they have that is 8y minus 17 degrees. And they have that angle B up here is 6y plus 5. Okay, now at degrees. Now, again, the idea is that you've got to know your properties of a parallelogram. So we need to know that opposite sides are parallel. We've got that marked. We need to know that opposite sides are congruent. So this side and this side are congruent. We also need to know that opposite angles are congruent. So this angle down here is congruent to this one up here. Okay? So we have two marks here, two marks there, one there, because again, the opposite angles are congruent. Now remember, the diagonals bisect each other, but that's not included in this question. So, how are we going to find x here? Let's start with that. Well, we can easily say 5x plus 19 is going to equal 7x. Subtract 5x from each side, and you're going to have 19 equals 2x. Divide each side by 2, and we'll have that x equals 19 over 2. Okay, so we've got x now. To get y, those opposite angles are going to be congruent. So we're going to say 6y plus 5 equals 8y minus 17. You guys are taking the notes, right? You're doing the work? Got to make sure you do. Okay, so I'm going to subtract over 6y. And if I do that, I end up with 5 equals 2y minus 17. I'm going to add 17 to the other side. And I'll have that 2y is going to equal 22. Divide each side by 2, and I'll have y equals 11. So there's my two answers. I might ask you later what angle B is. How would you find angle B? Okay, you're right. You'd plug in 11. You'd do 6 times 11 plus 5. We're going to plug into this up here. That is angle B. So 6 times 11 is 66. 66 plus 5 is 71. Okay, 66 plus 5. So 71 for angle B. That's in degrees. We got it. Okay, if I wanted you to find side AD, so if I wanted to find AD, I would take and plug the 19 over 2 in here for x. So I would have 7 times 19 over 2, which gives me, I don't know my calculator sitting here. What is this, 133 over 2? I think that sounds right. Let me do a little quick math on that. Yeah, 133 over 2 is the length of side AD. Okay, remember, don't always expect perfect numbers. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So again, that illustrates the opposite sides are congruent theorem. Opposite angles are congruent. Okay, now our second example here is going to deal with the diagonals. So let me get a new sheet here. This is our second example. Again, draw the same picture. Okay, but this time I'm going to draw in diagonals. Diagonals connect two non-adjacent vertices. Okay, we'll call it A, B, C, D like this. We'll have we can put a point in the middle here, E, if you want. Okay. And so we've got, here's my labels. On the AB side, it's going to be 2Z plus 4. Okay, on the CD side, it's going to be 3Z minus 4. And this ED segment here is going to be 4x minus 6. And this BE segment here is going to be x plus 9. Okay, again, this is a parallelogram. It will say that in the problem when you read it. So we can include that opposite sides are parallel. Now, being a parallelogram, these two opposite sides, this is the theorem we've been working on so far, should be congruent. So to find z, we're going to say 2z plus 4 equals 3z minus 4. Okay, pretty easy to solve. Subtract over 2z, and I can add over the 4 at the same time. That would give me 8 equals z. So z is 8. If you want to know those sides, you could plug it in. I'll do it for AB. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 4 is 20. So if I needed side AB, I could say that is 20. Okay. Now, also true in a parallelogram, thing I got to know, is that the diagonals bisect each other. So that means that x plus 9 is going to be equal to 4x minus 6. Again, these diagonals will bisect. And even though I don't need to find anything here, this will be congruent to that as well. Okay, because again, the diagonals bisect each other. So now from here, subtract x from each side. You'll have 9 equals 3x minus 6. Add the 6 to the other side. You'll have 15 equals 3x. Divide each side by 3, and you'll have x equals 5. Okay, again, if I wanted to find the length of BE, how would I find BE? I'd plug it back in, right. So if I plug in the 5, 5 plus 9 is 14. So BE is 14. So, in summary, based on what we've been doing, draw one more thing. Okay, draw one more parallelogram. So this is, in summary, your properties of for the parallelogram. This is kind of the shape you make whenever you're trying to do the shorthand for it. Remember, the opposite sides will be parallel. Opposite sides are congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. And the diagonals will bisect each other. So this right here, you got to use 3 marks now. Because if you say 1 or 2, you're saying it's congruent with those sides, and that's not true. And then this here is congruent as well to its other side, because those get bisected. Alright, so from there, you got it pretty well under control, hopefully. Tonight's homework is page 972. It will be on School Loop down below here, but you can write it down now if you want. 972, you're doing 5 through 14, 17 through 21, 23, and 24. Okay, and we'll be going over questions to a lot of this stuff once you come home. That is one of the downfalls of this, is that I can't really answer questions all that easily. So again, make sure you're staying organized, make sure you're keeping everything together one day at a time, keep a folder, keep everything in order, and then at the end we'll staple it together and we'll be able to kind of go through page by page by page. The last day's video of this week is going to help you remember this is the ordering for my assignments. Alright, you guys have a great day. Keep washing those hands. See you tomorrow.